His girlfriend. After a few minutes we reached the entrance to the firing range. Come girl, you have to have lunch before continuing with the trip, I said while looking at the girl in the back seat. Yay, Mr. Ken's food, Haley said as she raised her hands in excitement. Sorry girl, but this time I have no way to cook lunch, I said with a bit of sadness. But I can't eat anything normal after your meal Mr. Ken, Haley said throwing a little tantrum. I think I'm spoiling her too much, I thought as giggled nervously. Hey man, are you sure she's not your daughter? Kyle said holding back a laugh. Just shut up and let us inside, I said with a bit of annoyance. Okay, don't be mad Daddy of the Year, Kyle said jokingly. Upon entering I noticed that the place was quite similar to where we were, only that it is quite messy. Hey, why is it so messy? I know it's an apocalypse, but this is too much, I asked a bit confused. It's just I haven't had time to clean this up, Kyle said as he scratched the back of his neck nervously. And your girlfriend can't help you? I asked a little doubtful. It's just that she doesn't like to clean and she says it's better that I do it by myself, it doesn't really bother me, Kyle said with a fake smile. I see, I thought as I connected the dots. Why are you letting her do all this to you? I asked in a confused tone. Because she wouldn't pay attention to me otherwise, Kyle said a little sad and then looked for his girlfriend. Again I thought, remembering the past. After a few minutes, Kyle returned with a 17-year-old teenager. The teenager has European features, blonde hair, blue eyes and pure white skin, she also wears a white t-shirt, blue jeans and black shoes. Unlike Kyle, her clothes are quite clean. Her body is quite voluptuous and her face is quite beautiful, also she is about 5'6" feet tall. But that is not something that interests me. I never cared about the reputation, or the beauty of women when it came to meeting people. I only care if she is a good person or not, and if not, then I will stay away from her permanently. And this brat is not a person I want to have around me. Look, here is the guy the first told you about. His name is. Kyle said as he thought. Sorry you never told me your name, Kyle said realizing his mistake. Ken River, I said with total nonchalance. Well Ken she is, before Kyle could finish the young woman spoke. My name is Emily Herrera, Emily said with arrogance and disdain. Okay, hey brat before we go we have to look for gas to get to Montana, I said ignoring the brat. And where are we going to find gasoline? Kyle asked curiously. I could look for gas in the cars around, also, do you know where there is a Walmart around here? I could use a little more ammunition, I said after thinking for a moment. After practicing for a few days with the gun, I'm running out of ammunition. Right now I only have 5 chargers which is not as much as I would like. Hey you two stop ignoring me, Emily said with an angry tone. Tell me, what do you have to bring brat? I said indifferently. Firstly I'm not a brat and secondly you could just go to a gas station, Emily said arrogantly. Going to the gas station for fuel is suicide, mainly because you need to turn on the generator and it would be heard from around 300 meters, I said in a bored tone. At that the brat just clicked her tongue and stayed silent. There's a Walmart about 10 blocks to the north, Kyle said trying to lighten the mood. Do you know of any other firing ranges? I asked with interest. Yeah, there's one 15 blocks east, Kyle said after thinking for a moment. Thanks brat, I said smiling slightly. You're welcome old man, Kyle said laughing a little. I'll come back later after leaving the girl to get the fuel, I said and then left the building with the girl. When leaving the girl looked at me and said. Mr. Ken, weren't we going to eat with them? Haley asked confused. Apparently Kyle's girlfriend doesn't like me very much and I don't like her so this is for the best, I said lazily. So good that my mom will have no competition, said Haley very happily. Girl, do you want to stop looking for a girlfriend to me? I said a little in shock. Nope, Mr. Ken will be happy with my mommy and I'll make sure of that, Haley said with determination and clenching her little fist. He, you are adorable, you know that right? I said as I ruffled her hair. I'm not adorable I'm dangerous, said Haley puffing out her cheeks. Sure, I said with a smile. 1 comment 0 vote. Pissed. Download the app for additional rewards. More events, more perks. Winning you more free perks. Download now. Grim_Jester. Download app now. What I can't see. Upon reaching the other firing range, I let the girl in after checking the entire interior of the building. Okay girl, it's time for lunch, I said as placed the yellow backpack on a small table. What are we going to eat Mr. Ken? Haley asked curiously. Well, do you prefer strawberry or blackberry jam? I said while showed her both jams. Strawberry is my favorite. Haley said, very excited. I'll have to remember that later, I thought as I took out the bread. Well, we will have bread and jam for now. When we are near the Great Salt Lake I will do something better, Ken. Arguably the Great Salt Lake is the midpoint of our trip. I was thinking of taking a little detour to have a little break. A little vacation could really help my morale. After eating and resting for half an hour, I left the backpack with the girl and got ready to leave. Okay, remember what I told you, don't open the door unless you hear my voice, and for no reason do you leave here, I said with a worried tone as I crouched down in front of her. Sir, yes sir. Haley said, making a military pose. And if someone comes in, what do you do? Ken. I leave him without children, sir. Haley said, still in a military pose. With pride you fill me, young Padawan, I said as patted her on the head. Be careful, Mr. Ken, Haley said with concern. Don't worry, I'll be fine, I said, smiling broadly. After making sure to close the door tightly, I went over to where the brat is. Going in a group is a good way to reduce my chances of dying, so welcome. After a few minutes I got back to the firing range where the brat is. I loaded up the weekend and put it like a gangster in my pants, then grabbed the bat and went to the entrance of the building. Knock knock. Hey brat, are you ready? I asked in a bored tone. After a few minutes the brat opened the door and next to him was his girlfriend. We're ready, man, Emily will join us, I hope you don't mind, Kyle said with a bit of nervousness. The more the merrier, so we are less likely to die, I said with a nonchalant tone. Well, what will we do first? Kyle asked curiously. Well, we need something to get the gasoline out of other cars like a hose, I said thoughtfully. So we better go to the Walmart first, I said as I walked to the Walmart. Aren't we going by car? Emily asked in annoyance. I have no gas left, besides it's just going and coming back, then we'll take the gas from the cars around here, I said while shrugged. Hey man, wait for us, Kyle said when he saw that Ken was already halfway down the street. After 4 blocks of silence, the brats started talking and telling jokes to each other. And then I told him, obviously my iPhone 12 is more expensive than your whole home, it had to be said and it was said, said Emily with disdain. Ha 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 ha, Kyle said as he laughed exaggeratedly. As for me, well. CGHHHH, Ken. Exactly, I am having an aneurysm. I tried to spit blood, but this is not a cultivation novel, so this was the result. I have met several Europeans and they are pretty friendly for the most part. But my god, this brat is horrible. So far, she has only told stories of how she abuses other students and how she indirectly caused the suicide of a young girl. I can't let her get close to the girl. Another thing that worries me is Kyle himself. First of all, I don't want to know what the brat has done to him in the last few days, besides taking advantage of his need for affection. But what worries me the most is what I can't see of Kyle. It is obvious that he is not happy and it is also obvious that his mental stability is at its limit. But I'm just guessing that. I can't see through him, at least not fully. There are people who can hide their feelings from everyone completely, and these people are very dangerous, but not for others, but for themselves. I said it before, hiding your feelings will only get you hit in the face harder later. And for a person who completely hides them, only madness or death awaits. Hey you, Emily said with annoyance. What's up, brat? I said as I looked at her. Apparently she was calling me several times, as always I lost myself in my thoughts. Why do you keep calling me brat? You're only like 25 years old, Emily said, almost demanding an answer. Well, when I was 10 years old I only talked to teachers who had 40 years old, so technically I'm 96 mental years old, I said, bored. I also love to drink coffee, I complain about both my generation and the future generation, and I don't tolerate sweets, Ken. Wow, you really are old, Kyle said with a nervous laugh. After a few minutes we finally made it to the Walmart. 0 comments, 0 vote. I'm starting to hate Walmart. When I arrived, the first thing I noticed is that there is a zombie at the entrance, which is not a good sign. Well, I have to admit I've been very lucky lately, I thought as I sighed wearily. From what I can see it's an O+ since he has fungus all over his body. Any ideas? I asked lazily. How can you be so calm? We have a zombie in front of us, Emily said with a little fear. This is an O+, they are quite clumsy and very slow, so everything is fine, I said in a calm tone. By the way, if you see a zombie with a mushroom covering its head, don't even think about killing it, I said with a warning tone. What happens if we kill him? Kyle said in a concerned tone. Didn't you read it on the internet? I asked, a bit confused. My phone ran out of battery a long time ago and this Walmart was too far to go by myself, Kyle said a little embarrassed. Don't worry, it was a good decision, I said with a comforting tone. As for the zombies, if you kill one of those they will explode and cover an area of 500 meters around with spores that turn you into a zombie, I explained seriously. You should also stay more than 3 meters away from them, since being close for a long time can also transform you into a zombie, Ken. So what are we supposed to do with this one? Kyle said a little more scared. I distract him and you hit him in the legs from behind, I said as walked towards the entrance with my bat on his shoulder. Oh okay, Kyle said approaching the entrance as he held his bat. We have to hurry, it must be 5 p.m. more or less and I don't want to be out at night. These zombies are especially resistant to knives and bullets, but they are not as resistant to strong blows, especially to the legs. They are quite heavy, so their legs are their weak point. Apparently they are specially made to make you waste your bullets. Also these zombies are almost harmless, if you stay away from them. Being close, the zombie quickly noticed my presence and started walking towards me. From the outside I may look like a badass hero, but inside I am ready to escape at any moment. When the zombie was about 6 meters from me, the brat hit him hard on the back of the legs with his bat and the zombie fell to the ground unable to move. No exceptions, Kyle said with a bit of nervousness. Haha, I got the reference, I said with a nervous little smile. These zombies are tougher than an ordinary human so there's no way the damage would be serious, that hit just knocked him to the ground. Upon entering I realized that the Walmart is messy and there are several things lying on the floor. I'll go to the warehouse to get ammunition, you guys find the hose and whatever you need, I said as I went to the warehouse. Okay man, Kyle said as he reached for the hose. This brings back memories of my origins, I just hope there isn't a girl in the back of the warehouse. Something that bothers me is the sound of some birds around, it confuses me a bit, but it is not much of a problem. After going in and searching for a while in the boxes, I was able to find more ammo for the weekend, took 7 magazines and stuffed them in my pockets. I love my roomy pockets, I said with complete satisfaction. As I left the warehouse I started walking around and was able to find something quite interesting. Strawberry candies. I thought as I looked at the bag of candy. The girl will probably like them, but I should stop spoiling her, I thought and then entered a dilemma. Meh, as long as I doesn't overdo it, I can spoil her a bit. After taking the bag of candy and putting it in my pants, I went looking for the brats and found them in the weapons section. Did you find anything interesting? I asked with a bit of curiosity. We already found the hose, now we're just looking for a gun for Emily, Kyle said as he showed the hose. On his side the brat was inspecting a pistol she was holding. That reminds me, where did you get that bat if you didn't come to Walmart? I asked with a little doubt. I once did Harley Quinn cosplay at a Comic-Con, so I already had the bat, Kyle said with a bit of pity. Why you dressed as Harley Quinn? Ha 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 is the most hilarious thing I've ever heard, ha 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 ha, I said while laughing uncontrollably. Hey don't tease, at least I looked good, Kyle said red with embarrassment as he saw Ken crying with laughter. After laughing for a few minutes I realized that it is time to go. Well, it's time to get out of here, I said noticing it was getting dark. About time, I need to try this new toy, Emily said as she left the Walmart. But suddenly, a very quick shadow rushed towards her and rammed her from the left side. At that moment I could only think of a zombie capable of moving at that speed. An AB+, I thought in panic. 0 comments 0 vote. AB+. Ah! Shouted Emily out loud. Before she could react, the zombie lunged at the brat and knocked her to the ground several meters to the right of the entrance. I was only shocked for a few seconds, but after her scream I reacted quickly and left the store. The brat came out a few seconds after me. When I came out I could see that the zombie was biting the brat's right shoulder and I could also see a lot of blood coming out of it. I quickly put the bat down, pulled out the weekend, took a deep breath, and shot the zombie in the back. Bang bang. Rarg, the zombie complained after receiving the shots, then got up and ran towards Ken. At that moment I could realize something. It's too fast, I thought in shock when I saw the zombie 1 meter from me. The brat is about 20 meters from me, and yet this zombie traveled that distance in less than a second. Seeing him so close, instinctively I moved a little to the left. The AB+ brushed my right shoulder lightly and kept going. TCH, damn that hurt, I said while holding my shoulder in pain. After continuing with its onslaught, the AB+ collided with a car and was stunned for a few seconds. Think damn it, what is this guy's weakness? I thought with a bit of annoyance and fear. Kyle can't help me, now he himself must be helping the brat. This zombie is very fast, but I was still able to dodge it. Why? His body is disproportionate to him, I thought in realization. His legs are too heavy and strong for the rest of his body and he can't control his direction as he runs. He's only going in a straight line and apparently can't stop either. If his body were stronger he would have dislocated or even ripped my arm off. Based on these data, I was able to formulate a plan. After a few seconds the zombie prepared again to run towards me. I saved the weekend into my pants and held the bat tightly as if I was playing baseball. My shoulder hurts a bit and I've only played baseball once, so I'm not quite sure what the pose is like when batting. But the zombie is already running towards me and there is no time to complain. When the zombie was 6 feet from me, I jerked my body around and hit his head with the bat. Pam. The zombie stopped abruptly due to the impact. This also caused him to kick me in the stomach due to the momentum he had, and then fall to the ground unconscious. Cough asterisk damn it, why doesn't something ever come out completely right? I said in a complaint mode while holding my stomach and leaning on the floor. The kick wasn't very strong, since that wasn't the zombie's goal, but it still hurt a lot. Those legs look like they are made of steel. After trying to catch my breath for a few minutes, I looked at the unconscious zombie in front of me. The blow was very strong, but I still didn't break his skull so I doubt he's dead. I got up slowly while holding my stomach and used the bat for support to get to the brats. Upon arrival I realized that the brat used his shirt to stop the bleeding. After stopping the bleeding, the brat noticed my presence. Hey man, are you okay? And where is the zombie? Kyle asked with concern and fear. The zombie is there possibly in a coma, I said while pointing to the zombie on the ground. As for me, well, apparently I'm not the protagonist, because he beat me to death, I said trying to ease the atmosphere a bit. Oh I see, Kyle said a little more relaxed. How many bites does she have? I asked in a serious tone. I can only count T2, she'll be fine right? Kyle asked hopefully. Let me check, I said as I slowly approached the brat. Oh okay, Kyle said very concerned. Being close I could see that the brat fainted due to the shock of the moment and the onslaught of the zombie. She has a bite on his right forearm and one on her shoulder. Seeing that there are only 2 I calmed down a bit, since it takes more than 2 bites to turn you into a zombie, but then I realized something. Wait, didn't the zombie ram her from the left side? I thought confused. Looking closer I could tell that the brat's left side was bleeding. Shit, I thought as I noticed a large bite mark on the left side of her stomach. Hey brat, do you know what her blood type is? I asked with a little hope. What did you find? Kyle asked afraid of knowing the answer. Do you know her blood type or not? I asked with a bit of annoyance. She told me she was A+, Kyle said thoughtfully. Damn, I thought sadly. I'm very sorry brat, but she no longer has salvation, I said with a sad and helpless voice. What? Was the only thing Kyle could say. 0 comments 0 vote. Don't depend on someone else. It's not true, right? It's just a bad J joke right? Said Kyle who looked like he was about to break down. Trust me, I wish it was a bad joke too, I said in a dark tone. I didn't like the brat, but this is not something she deserves, she is also just a teenager, she had her whole life ahead of her to meet, learn from her mistakes and become a good person. But now there is no way to save her, everything ends for her here and she didn't even have time to think of her actions and have a better life. As for Kyle, he looked like he was about to burst into tears, but he just held everything back and showed no emotion other than a slightly sad expression. Brat, do not contain your emotions, if you feel sad or destroyed it is not bad to cry, I said with a worried tone. Don't worry man, I'm pretty good, Kyle said with a hollow smile. Brat I mean it, let go of everything you have inside or there will be no going back for you, I said with total seriousness. There was no going back for me before I met her, Kyle said still smirking. Don't make your happiness depend on her or someone else damn it, be happy for yourself, find a reason, whatever, but don't use that damn fake smile. I said with utter anger and helplessness. I no longer have reasons to be happy, I can't be happy on my own, it's too late for me, Kyle said keeping that smile. I could only look at him with helplessness and sadness, I can no longer do anything for him, it is already too late. Brat, help me find the gasoline before dark and take your time to think while you do it, I said in a sad and somber tone. Don't worry man, I'll help you look for gas after taking Emily to Walmart, Kyle said calmly and then took Emily and took her to Walmart. After a while the brat came back with the hose and a container of gasoline. After putting the container and hose near me, he took the brat's gun and put it in his pants. Later, he took the container and the hose again and was taking the gasoline from the cars around. I can barely move, so I could only see him pour the gas out of the cars with a worried look. His mental state is deplorable, there is nothing I can do for him, and that only makes me feel annoyed with myself. I don't even know if there is any way I can help him. I can only see him keep that fake smile helplessly. After a few minutes the brat finished filling the gas canister, put the hose on the ground and walked towards me with the canister in his right hand. Time to go, Kyle. Okay, I'll follow you, I said and then got up using the bat for support. But when I got up I felt pain in my stomach and I almost fell to the ground. Before falling, the brat held me and worked as a support to avoid falling. I have you, man, Kyle said with a little concern. Thanks, brat, I said with a smile as used the bat for support as well. After that we started walking slowly towards the firing range where my car is. It's almost night now, it must be 7 p.m. or so it's better to pick up your pace, I said as I walked a little faster. The brat just nodded and started walking a little faster. After 5 blocks of silence, I decided to talk a bit with the brat. Could you reflect a bit? I asked calmly. That's right, my mind is clearer and more determined than ever, Kyle said as he smiled. I see, I said in a calm tone. After a few minutes, night fell and we reached the firing range. The brat approached the car and used the container to fill the gas tank, while I sat on the sidewalk to rest a bit. After a few minutes the tank was full, the brat put the container on the ground and came over to me. Well, everything is ready, do you want to come and rest a bit? Kyle said as he opened the door to the building. I could use it, I said as I entered the building. After this I sat on a fairly clean sofa and rested for a few minutes. Well man, if you need me I'll be in the shooting room, Kyle said with a smile. Kyle, I said in a serious tone. Hearing his name Kyle stopped in his tracks. I know what you are about to do and I just want to ask, is there any way to stop it? I asked with concern. No man, I'm completely sure of my decision, Kyle said with a serious tone. I see, I said sadly. It was nice meeting you, Kyle, I said as he smiled slightly and shed a small tear. It was nice to meet you too, Kyle said with a real smile this time. After this Kyle walked into the shooting room and after a few minutes, I could only hear one thing. Bang. 1 comments 0 vote. The one who really suffers. The shot was almost cancelled by the soundproof walls, but due to the silence in the building I heard it perfectly. At that moment, I could only clench my fists and teeth in anger and helplessness. I can't help, I can't do anything, I thought as I blamed myself. I'm not good at cheering people up, I'm not a psychologist, and I don't have great charisma either. I had no way of helping, I know, but I still feel guilty. This is not something I can fix with science and calculations, I'm not even sure if there was any way to help him. But I still feel guilty. Kyle was on the edge of his sanity, the last thing holding him was that brat. Not out of love, but because of the false feeling of accomplishment and support that having her as his girlfriend gave him. The last thing that kept him away from this fate was a false feeling. I got up and walked slowly towards the shooting room. My stomach and shoulders still hurt, but at this point I completely ignored it. Upon entering I could see that Kyle had shot himself in the left side of his head, I could also see tears in his eyes. He was sitting on the ground and his blood stained the wall behind him. Seeing him in this way I could only feel one thing, anger. Why did you have to do this? I muttered under my breath. Why damn it? I said as I approached him. Being close I crouched in front of him, I grabbed him by the shoulders and yelled with all my might. Why did you have to keep everything as strong? You're not strong, none of us are. I screamed in anger and helplessness. We are human beings, even if it bothers me to admit it, even I have feelings, you can't keep it all to yourself, no one is strong enough to ignore what feels forever. I said while shaking him erratically. Why did you have to contain it all? Why don't you just let it go? Why damn it? I said looking for an answer that would never be answered. It may be fear of showing what they feel to others, fear of being rejected or judged, but who cares what others think? Why not seek happiness in themselves and have to depend on others? I don't understand it, I just don't understand it. And I will probably never understand it. But if there is one thing I know, it is that the one who really wants to die only does it. No posts about his sadness, no hint of being sad. Nothing. The next thing you know, they are already preparing the funeral. They fools everyone and even themselves, until it is too late. I only knew what he was going to do because I had seen this before. After releasing Kyle I left the building without a single feeling. I am not a hypocrite, the end he had is sad, but I barely knew him, so the only thing I can do is show my respect for his decision. I express my feelings in the moment that I have to and in the way in which they appear. That does not mean that this is the appropriate way to deal with a situation like this, it is just the way I feel. I couldn't help him, I'm not his family, not even an important part of his life. From what it seems to me, I do not deserve the right to mourn his death, I can only wish him well wherever he is. As I left I realized that it is already nighttime, it must be 7:30 p.m. I saw 2 people die in less than 2 hours, it seems like a bad joke. The fact that I don't feel sad about their deaths makes me wonder. I'm a bad person. What would a good person do? Cry for them for days. Remember them every day and be eternally sad. What would a normal person do? If I knew how normal people think, maybe I would have more friends, maybe I wouldn't be alone. I guess this is not the time to think about that, what I should do is go to a safe place and see how the girl is. I walked slowly to the car, then got in, started the car, and went to the other firing range. I drove slowly and with the lights off so as not to attract the attention of any zombie. After a few minutes I reached my destination, I got out of the car after turning it off, walked slowly supporting myself with the bat and knocked on the door of the building. Password, demanded a lovely little voice. I don't remember any password, I said with a small smile. Oh, that's right, well don't tell anyone, but the password is Little Owl, Haley whispered softly. Okay, I won't tell anyone, I said entertained. Password, Haley said in a serious tone. Little Owl, I said with a smile. You can come in, Mr. Ken, Haley said happily as she opened the door. As I entered, I walked slowly and sat in an armchair in the waiting room. Having someone waiting for you at home is a very warm feeling. I like it. 2 comments 0 vote. Name. Mr. Ken, why are you walking so weird? Haley asked curiously. It's just that someone kicked me in the stomach and it hurts a little, I said calmly. Who kicked you, Mr. Ken? You have to tell his mom to scold him, Haley said with concern and a little annoyed. Don't worry, I hit him over the head with a bat, I said dismissing it. Mr. Ken, violence only brings more violence, I didn't educate you that way, said Haley annoyed with Ken as he crossed his arms. Okay, this is weird. Since when does the girl have enough confidence in me to scold me? And the worst thing is that for some reason, I am afraid that she will be more angry with me. Oh okay, I won't do it again, I said pathetically. No one has ever beaten me in a debate, but now I can't even answer her complaints. Is this how it feels to have a sister, mother, girlfriend or daughter? I feel helpless. Women are definitely terrifying. The girl seemed to accept my apology and she changed to her worried attitude from before. Mr. Ken, are you really okay? Haley said as she approached Ken. Yeah, I'm okay, I'll be like new tomorrow, I said with a smile. One good thing about being Latin American is having a strong body, I've been hit harder by the stupid soccer ball at recess. I never played soccer, but for some reason the stupid ball ended up hitting me every time I got close. At first I thought it was because they were trying to hit me on purpose, but then I saw the ball bounce 3 times and still hit me, so that possibility is out of the question. Well, I better stop thinking about my mutual hatred of sports. The girl still seemed a bit worried, so I tried to cheer her up. Why don't you put a band-aid on me again? Last time it helped me a lot, I said with a smile. Mr. Ken, band-aids are for cuts, not blows, Haley said in an explanatory tone. And what should I do according to you? Dr. Haley, I said jokingly. At that the girl approached me and stood by my left side. Before I could ask, the girl did something I didn't see coming. Muak. That's right, she gave me a little kiss on the cheek. My mommy always says a kiss heals any blow, Haley said as she smiled broadly. I, on the other hand, am in a state of shock. This is too sweet and cuddly, I honestly don't think I will survive the night. I'm going to cry, no. Be a man and hold on, don't let his tenderness defeat you. After an internal battle, I was able to hold back my tears from coming out. This time I win. I hardly count it, that power of tenderness should be illegal. Mr. Ken, are you feeling better? Haley said curiously. Yep, I feel so much better already, I said with a smile. So this is honey, huh? I like it. Maybe when this is all over, I should start a family. But hey, it's better not to think about that for now, plus it's dinner time. Well, it's dinner time, I said as I slowly got up to look for dinner. Mr. Ken, you have to rest, I'll look for the backpack, Haley said without waiting for an answer from me. I only saw her looking for the backpack with a little helplessness. I feel like a 90-year-old. I don't mind the idea of being old and wise, but not being able to move is quite annoying. Another thing, the girl is much smarter than I thought, the only thing stopping her is her innocence. I honestly don't want her to lose her innocence. Smart people are mostly cold and only care about helping humanity and bullshit like that. I, on the other hand, only studied engineering for the money, I have to be honest. I just wanted a good paying job so I could play video games and be lazy for as long as possible. And I do not regret it. The point is, smart people are mostly good, but there are some who are arrogant and quite annoying. Those who only care for the good of humanity, that laziness. Anyway, the girl came back after a few minutes with the yellow backpack. After eating, I remembered something I had in my pocket. When I took it out I showed it to the girl and said, "Look, I brought you some strawberry candies, I hope you like them," I said calmly. "Thank you very much, Mr. Ken," Haley said as she ate some candy. After eating some, the girl stared at me for a few seconds and then came closer and hugged me tightly. "Is something wrong, girl?" I asked in confusion. "I love you, Mr. Ken," Haley said with a big smile. I could only be shocked for a few seconds, then smile like never in my life and hug her gently. "I love you too, my little Haley," I said while crying a little. I think I really like this thing about affection. 1 comments 0 vote. Special chapter, How I Feel. When I changed schools, the last thing my old teacher told me was that I was a genius. My calligraphy was hopeless even after practicing and filling out several notebooks. Apparently a hopeless handwriting is a kind of sign that my IQ is higher than usual. That's why they always pressured me, apparently they wanted me to have a purpose, something to use that intelligence on. But I didn't want anything. I never wanted to help humanity or make my mark on the world. What good is that to me? I'm not even sure what there is after death, why would I want to lose my life on that? And it's not like I can help in any way or they need it. There are a lot of scientists out there trying to stand out and to feel the recognition of others, people who really try hard and who are smarter than me. Intelligent people are fragile, the moment they realize that there is someone smarter and better is devastating for them. That includes me. But I never claimed to be smarter than others, the most I did was tell them that they did not use their brain. My mind has no biases or barriers to stop it from wandering. That is why I always get lost in my thoughts. This is also why I can understand anything just by reading it once. At first I didn't believe that I was a genius. But when I wanted to learn English I ended up learning 1,000 different words in just 2 days. Even I was surprised by this, but it is as if it were a kind of state in which I can learn almost effortlessly and without my laziness attacking. Is this having a purpose? Is this how those who really want to help humanity feel? Is that why they always try so hard? That was the only time something like that happened to me. In my new school they didn't pressure me, nor did they ask me to draw perfect pictures to get a good grade. It wasn't as good as my previous genius school, but it was relaxing. It was what I needed, a break. In that school I had several classmates that I almost considered friends. One of them in particular was always sociable and lively, as well as always having a crazy new idea in his head. He was one of those people that I always admired, a person with charisma who could make others happy. I also had other colleagues who were just as freaky as me, as well as being very intelligent. We always discussed stupid things like, if Wolverine can cut steel like paper, then how can he scale stone walls? In the end I always ended up winning, but I imagine it is because of my open mind. They were good years, in which I was able to put my indifference and boredom to one side. But everything has its end, high school ended and I had to go to university. I always kept in touch with them, even though it wasn't as good as before. I don't even know how I ended up in university as an orphan, I just know that one day the best university in my country told me that I had a scholarship there. University is a place full of young adults, who are loaded with the desire to study and be someone in this life. I didn't have those spirits, I just wanted the piece of paper they call a title and earn enough money to be lazy. I always considered myself a quirk of the universe, I have almost all the talents but I am too lazy to use them. And that's how my life began in college, doing homework, learning by myself, nothing more. What I didn't expect was news that shocked me. A suicide. From that classmate who always made others laugh in high school. I remember the day I went to his funeral, it was quite a dark and silent day even though the sun was still shining. I tried to relax the atmosphere by telling little jokes on the way. But when it was time for the funeral, they all broke down and began to cry. I couldn't feel anything at all. I have no right to cry in this situation, that is something that only his family should do. It's not that I'm hiding my feelings, it's just that there's nothing to show. I could only remain silent while watching everyone cry. That was the last time I saw my peers in what could be considered the last major event in my life. The rest was just studying, working and nothing else. But that event helped me understand that I can't read people completely, only part of them. That's why I don't immediately withdraw from people I don't like, I always try to give them at least one chance. I will never be able to understand how the thoughts and personality of a normal person work as a whole. I don't even know if there is something I don't know about myself. Or at least that's how I feel. 2 comments 0 vote. Getting back on track. I decided to rest in this place for one more day while I recover from my injuries. Now that I think about it, I have not been lazy for a long time, I have forgotten my origins. Another thing is that seeing 2 people die did not affect me as much as the last time. Now I am not afraid of seeing someone die, but I am afraid of getting used to seeing them die. I don't want to become a monster who feels nothing when watching someone die. But I also want to be strong enough so that it doesn't bother me while I survive. I guess it's best to ignore it for now. Right now I'm sprawled out on the couch like a sack of potatoes. I miss those times when I could be lazy with no worries. Because I may be lazy, but there is a little voice in my head that forces me to be responsible and diligent with my duties. I have a love-hate relationship with that little voice. As for Haley, well, she is very entertained with my phone while she plays TLOF. She really fills me with pride. Especially since she can advance through the game without reading a guide, just with perseverance and millions of tries. She has the spirit of a true gamer, future generations are not entirely lost. Anyway, the rest of the day I was just lying on the couch until lunchtime when I could help. After lunch I started thinking about the following. How do I get a girlfriend? That is, to start a family, I should have a girlfriend and later a wife, right? How am I supposed to do that? I hardly know how to act normally for other human beings. Also, if I'm so picky when it comes to having friends, how am I supposed to get a girlfriend? Is this the end of Spider-Man? After a round of useless questions I stopped thinking about that and started thinking about our next destination. Salt Lake City. The trip from Las Vegas to Salt Lake City takes 6 hours by car, and Salt Lake City would be more or less like the midpoint of our trip. We are currently on March 10th, so the weather should be between 10 degrees and 1 degree. If I could find the place with the lowest temperature we would be safe, at least for a few days. Those would be like a little vacation, something that I really miss. Mr. Ken. Haley said as she shook Ken. What's up, Haley? I said with a worried tone. Apparently I got lost in my thoughts again, I should stop doing that. Mr. Ken, there's a door with a picture of a sun that I can't get through, Haley said as she showed me the phone. Of course, the stupid door of the sun, I thought resentfully towards that tricky door. It is almost impossible to guess how to do this, mainly because this is an emulator, and you have to close the console to solve this puzzle. Done, I said as I handed her the phone. How did you do it, Mr. Ken? Haley said curiously. This puzzle doesn't depend on the game but on the console, don't worry, I just discovered it by accident, I said while I remembered the past. And it's true, one day I started tapping all the buttons on and off the emulator out of frustration and suddenly it worked. It's an old video game tactic, push all the buttons and you will discover something new. And so my rest day ended. The next morning I woke up at 6 a.m., made breakfast, saved some for Haley in a cup, and carried her to the car while she was still asleep. I also took the yellow backpack and Haley's things to the car, and that's how the preparations are over. I should have brought the hose and gas canister, but at the time I couldn't move freely or think straight. So I started the car and headed for Salt Lake City. Haley woke up 3 hours after starting the trip, to then eat her breakfast. An hour after this I heard something on the radio at the same time as last time. So every day at 10 a.m. there is a message, I should remember that, I thought as I made a mental note. Attention people of the United States, currently 45% of our population is infected with the virus, it is recommended to go through the Boise, Idaho camps before arriving in Helena, Montana, any change in the information will be transmitted by all the stations at this time, stay tuned. Like last time the message was repeated several times, so I turned off the radio. Mr. Ken, do we have to go to Boise? Haley asked curiously. So it seems, but first we have to get to the Salt Lake, Ken. I wonder why this camp, is it to control the masses or is there something else? The best thing is to be careful. And so we continued our way to Montana. 0 comments 0 vote. Salt Lake City. Right now I am having a revelation. Fuck no, people who are fasting do not eat breakfast because it would be break fasting, I thought while discovering the origin of the universe. I have the absolute truth, everyone else is below me. Anyway, putting my eccentricities aside, we are already in Salt Lake City. And as in all other cities, my first destination is a shooting range. I sincerely appreciate the need to carry arms in this country at this time. If it weren't for the firing ranges, I would have died a long time ago. Anyway, after going around for a few minutes, I was able to find one and did the usual. I left Haley in the car, checked every space and corner within the building, and left Haley there while I went to Walmart. I'm going to create a religion where Walmart will be the cathedral and the Oreos will be the offerings. If I saw a zombie A or B, I would shoot him in the little toe and he would be knocked out. No, seriously, the little toe serves as a balance and has a lot of nerves, which is why it hurts so much when you hit it there. And if an O+ appeared, I would hit him on the knees with the bat. The only ones that could give me problems are the abs in general, or a horde of zombies itself. But I didn't find either of those two, so, easy win GG. It seems I'm getting used to living in the apocalypse by now, which I'm not quite sure if it's good or bad. Anyway, right now I'm looking for everything for the camp. I already have firewood, an axe, a lighter and everything I need to cook. I only need warm clothes for the cold and most importantly, fresh ingredients and spices to prepare the food. Which is harder to find than it sounds. After checking the Walmart and neutralizing any threats, I started looking for the ingredients. First, chicken or fish. Chicken is very sensitive and spoils very easily, so finding good chicken is impossible in this situation. So I'll have to go for fish. When looking in the cooler, I had to search the deepest part of it to find good, fresh fish. It was an unpleasant and tedious task, and now I smell a bit fishy. I guess I'll have to take a bath, so I'll have a jug of water too. If you ask yourself how I bathed before, then you are sick, that is not asked. Seriously speaking, it's the same as what I'm doing now. I have even had to wash and look for new clothes, quite an ordeal. I found a dark blue coat and a small lime green one, so all set. I kept the jug along with the fish in a small cooler that will keep them fresh at least until tomorrow and put everything in the trunk. I put the coats in the back seat. That's enough. After all, I just want to be at camp for a few days. It is currently 1 p.m. so I still have time. Plus I still have to find gas for the car, again. It was easy, just finding a hose, a container and borrowing gasoline from the cars around. After all this, I went to the firing range to find Haley. When I arrived, I saw that she was sitting on the sofa while she hugged the little owl. "Come Haley, it's time to go," I said with a smile. "Where are we going, Mr. Ken?" Haley asked curiously. "We will have a kind of camp near the river, Ken. I always wanted to go to camp," Haley said, very excited. "Well, what are you waiting for? Let's go," I said while being caught up in her emotion. "Besides, I'll be able to prepare good food when we're there, Ken." Hearing that, Haley's spirits were through the roof. She took her things and went to the car quickly. After this, I got in the car and started looking for a cold and remote place that would serve as a camp. "Mr. Ken, I like this green coat, can I wear it?" Haley asked with puppy dog eyes. "If you're cold, go ahead," I said without caring. After looking for a safe place for a while, I found a small cabin in an open and cold place, in addition to being away from civilization. Perfect, I thought when I saw said cabin. The tactic of finding and heading for little traveled roads worked perfectly. Upon arrival, I left Haley in the car and went through the cabin from top to bottom and in every room. After finding nothing, I let Haley in and got some things out of the car, like firewood, blankets, etc. Then I lit the fireplace with the wood and voila, a small camp. It is currently 3 p.m., so I should already prepare lunch. And so began our little break. 0 comments, 0 vote. The old man. After a while I realized something, this place is very clean. I mean, it's only been a little over a week since this mess started, but this place is especially clean. I always have the weekend on my pants for safety, so I'm not too worried about it. After preparing the fish, I put them on a stick near the fireplace to cook. I haven't eaten meat since the power was turned off, so I'm really looking forward to it being cooked. Haley also seemed very eager to eat something different. When the fish were ready, I moved them away from the fireplace a bit and put them on a large plate. But just when I was about to start eating, I heard footsteps outside the house. I got up quickly and went to greet our guest while I take out the weekend. Looking out the window, I noticed that he was an old man, in his 70s, and had an axe on his shoulder. He looked confused and a little scared seeing the car outside and the chimney blowing smoke, so I put the gun in my pants and went to see who he was. "Hey sir, is something wrong?" I asked in a friendly tone. He does not seem dangerous or even less threatening, in fact he seems a good person, so there is no reason to treat him badly. The old man seemed to get scared for a few seconds, but seeing my friendly attitude he calmed down a bit. Young man, I would like to ask you, what are you doing in my home? The old man asked curiously. Oh, sorry old man, I didn't know this was your home, that explains why it was so clean, I said with a sorry tone. Well, this place is the safest I could find at the moment, but if I'm bothering you I can go somewhere else, I said with a respectful tone. They always taught me to be nice and respectful to older people, so I don't want to cause any problems. The old man looked at me for a few seconds and then smiled and said. I could use some company, said the old man kindly. Oh, thanks old man, by the way there is also a girl inside, I said calmly. Is she your daughter? Asked the old man a bit confused. No, she is just a girl that I found in this mess, I said with a bit of sadness. I see, said the old man with understanding and sadness. Do you want to eat something? I brought fish, besides I don't like to show off, but I'm a good cook, I said with a bit of pride. We'll see young man, said the old man calmly. Now that I think about it, this old man showed up just as I was cooking fish on a campfire. Here is and are you? Upon entering, the first thing I was greeted by was a worried Haley. Mr. Ken, did something bad happen? Haley said with concern. No, it's just an old man, apparently this is his home, I said calmly as I patted her on the head. Don't worry, the old man is very kind and he let us stay here, Ken. Hearing my explanation, Haley quickly calmed down. After a few seconds the old man entered the room. I hadn't mentioned it before, but the old man has white hair, black eyes, American features, and is dressed in a brown coat, black pants, and winter boots. He is a little taller than me, with a height of 3 feet or so, robust body and always has a calm smile on his face. As he entered, the old man looked around, and then sat down in front of the fireplace next to us. I served the old man a plate of fish while I scooped out the spines from Haley's fish. Who knew that the fish cutting knife would be so useful to me right now? When tasting the fish the old man told me. It really is delicious young man, I'm impressed, said the old man approvingly. I told you right. I'm a good cook, I said proudly as I fed Haley. By the way young man, what is your name? The old man said curiously. Oh, sorry for not telling you, my name is Ken River, I said a little embarrassed. Nice to meet you young Ken, my name is Noah Miller, Noah said respectfully. A pleasure old Noah, I said with a respectful tone as well. I like this old man, he reminds me a bit of me, he shows his emotions in an open way and he is quite calm. After eating, we rested for a while and I asked the old man. Hey old man, can we use the remaining rooms? I asked with a bit of shame. Go ahead young man, there is no reason to be ashamed, said the old man in a calm tone. Thank you very much, I said with a respectful tone. The cabin is quite large and has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, the living room where the fireplace is and a kitchen. I went to get everything important for the next few days in the car and left it in my room. And so begins these little vacations in Salt Lake City. 0 comments 0 vote. Pissed. Download the app for additional rewards. More events, more perks. Winning you more free perks. Download now. Grim_Jester. Download app now. The Great Salt Lake. The next day I had a good idea. I should take Haley to see the lake, I thought to myself. The Great Salt Lake is a few minutes walk from here, so it doesn't seem like a bad idea. Besides I'm bored and also curious about that lake, maybe I will see something interesting out there. After breakfast I decided to tell Haley about my idea. Haley, I'm going to the Salt Lake after lunch, do you want to come over? I asked curiously. Can we see the lake? I want to go. Haley said very excited. Well okay, we'll go after lunch, I said a bit amused by her reaction. And you old man, do you want to come? I asked curiously. Don't worry young man, I've already seen that lake thousands of times, it's nothing impressive to me, Noah said calmly. After lunch I packed some things for the trip, put on my coat and was ready to go to the lake. Haley is wearing her coat too, so we're all set. In total it's a 70 minutes round trip walk, so I brought some water just in case. And so we started walking towards the Salt Lake. 20-minute walk later Haley looked a bit tired, so now she is on my shoulders. Also, I put on some music while we walked. All is good, all is great, and it's never too late, you will live to see another day, Ken. The rising sun be sure to come, and you can hide but you can't run, Haley. And fingertips on dried out lips, reminding to the day of, Ken. Only running round in circles every time, and it won't end, until they understand, Haley. And I'm waiting for the moment down the line, and it won't bend, so take me by the hand, Ken. The rising sun, be sure to come, and we can hide but we can't run, Ken and Haley. And fingertips on dried out lips, reminding to the day of one, and all it's past, won't make it last if you never find a way, to remember my name, Haley and Ken. Mr. Ken, I really like this song, said Haley very animated. Yup, me too, it's one of my favorites, I said calmly. This would be a good time to find out more about Haley. Tell me Haley, what do you want to be when you grow up? I asked curiously. I want to be a doctor and help people. Haley said with a smile. I see, it's a good profession, but it takes a lot of effort and dedication, I said with a warning tone. The important thing is to look for a profession that helps you to be happy, do not live by the happiness of others, the important thing is that you are happy in the first place, although of course without hurting anyone, I said with an explanatory tone. Happiness is subjective and everyone looks for it in all places and in all ways, but sometimes they forget to look for it in themselves, Ken. But hey, after all this is just my opinion, I said calmly. I will follow Mr. Ken's advice. Haley said determinedly. Okay, but never forget to think for yourself and give your opinion, I said with a smile. After this I continued walking until I reached the lake. When I arrived I could see that the area was desert, this due to the salinity, but other than that it was very quiet and beautiful. I was always a fan of the sea and bodies of water in general, I wonder if it has to do with my last name. The lake is full of various species of birds, flying over the surface and the surrounding area, but most foraging for food within the lake. This lake is very salty and the only thing that can be found in the water are crustaceans. But it's still pretty. So much tranquility makes me have a lot of peace, almost like I had it before everything started. But there is still something that bothers me, and it has to do with the only lie that haunts me. The lie about the girl's mother and what I saw that night. Until I tell the truth, I will not be able to be totally calm. I'm going to think about it, but I won't tell her today, for now I just want to enjoy this little moment. Mr. Ken, this is very nice, look there is a bird with pink claws, said Haley as she pointed to the shore. When looking in that direction I could see a bird with a black neck and pink claws, it was quite remarkable, since most birds are brown or gray. If my memory serves, I would say that it is a stilt, I said with a thoughtful tone. Watching Animal Planet always helps, plus I love survival shows, except when they're naked. After seeing the lake for a few minutes I looked for a dry place to sit, as the walk was a bit strenuous. Do you want water, Haley? I asked curiously. Yup, I still have a lot of energy to go for a ride though, said Haley excitedly. But I did have to carry you half the way, I said a little in shock. It was all a cheat, Mr. Ken, I just said for you to carry me, ha ha ha, Haley said as she tried to laugh evilly, but she just looked adorable. Too bad, now for lying I'll have to leave you without lunch, I said with an evil tone. Don't, wait Mr. Ken, have mercy. Haley said as she begged for mercy. Nope, I don't like lying girls, I said as I walked the other way to annoy her. It was a good walk I have to admit. Next chapter.